Debbie and her children talking shite. Debbie and her children talking absolute shite.
Hello, hello, hello. Well, I was not expecting to see you here. Not after what you did last week. That was disgusting. You didn't need to smear it over the walls, did you? Anyway, come in. Again, take take your pants off and bloody sit down in the corner, would you? I've had enough of you. Anyway, welcome to episode, you disgusting beast. Welcome to episode 6 of Debbie and her children talking shite. We're going to do the rounds as usual. First up, we have Craigie Boy.
I bloody hope you like podcasts, because if you do, I've got 20 minutes of solid podcasts for you.
And funny enough, you have got a bit of an Alan Sugar beard going on at the moment.
I bloody well know.
Okay, and then we have the Don.
Hello, everybody. I hope you are really very well.
That's nice. And then we have Stephen.
Hey, guys.
Here you go.
Hey, guys.
Hi, guys. And then we have Billy.
Howdy, partner. I'm Billy.
And then we have Debbie.
Hello.
You attention-seeking whore. Oh dear. Yes, so welcome to episode 6, and as we do every week, we've got a handwritten letter. This one is written in some kind of brown ink, which is a bit odd, but directed to Debbie as usual.
Is it scratch and sniff?
I haven't tried that yet, but directed to Debbie as usual. And it says this one is from Kathy. Kathy, who lives in what does it say? Glenmorgan. Kathy, Scottish Kathy. She says,
Liar.
Debbie, is it...
Liar.
Hang on, just hear Kathy out, please. Is it true in 1966, when you were about 4 or 5 years old, that you were found crawling around on the streets on all fours, and you was caught in a big net by the NSPCC because they had a few phone calls. You caught in a big net and taken to the nearest monkey sanctuary, where you were you were raised on a diet of bananas and beans.
Well, that's true.
Bananas and beans. And eventually you was picked up by a couple called Jim and Gwen. They took you home, but you were still a feral child, and you didn't speak for many years, and used to climb the curtain pole and eat bananas and stuff, and just
Monkey around
and bark at the postman, that type of thing. Is that true? Is that true?
She was throwing her poo at people.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that is actually, you must have read the letter as well, because that is actually written down in a PS at the bottom. Is that true, Debbie?
Well, like, first of all, you mean the RSPCA, I think. And
oh no. They knew you was a human child. But when they caught you in the big net, they soon realized that you had monkey traits, so that's why they took you to the monkey sanctuary. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, obviously,
big hairy baboon ass, for example.
Thank you. Big, completely made up story again. It's not a real question. The person that wrote it isn't real, and you are a liar.
Mum, I've seen these letters. They're real. Every week they come in. Yeah, you're lucky. You're
the most popular member on here, Mother.
You know, me. It's all you, Deborah.
Craig's right, because you know that you should read the letters that I have to throw away in the bin, or burn them. Maybe.
Please send them to me. I'd love to see them, Andrew, because they don't exist, so I can't do that, can I? But please,
Kathy in Glenmorgan, I really apologise for this. You're not a fictional character. Don't listen to her. You are real. Anyway, so we move on. We've introduced everybody. We've read the letter of the week. So it's time to pull the theme out from the hat. Let's try and get it in time, okay? This is episode 6, for God's sakes. Right, 3, 2, 1.
Pull it out.
Pull it out.
Pull it out.
Out.
That is
We did it then.
ridiculous. This is why we've never been in a band together. Although we
It's all
should.
about the timing. Mhm.
Okay, so this week we are talking about hospital, stroke A&E, stroke doctor's appointments, and anything medical.
Ooh. 3 or 4 days after my 17th birthday, I found myself in hospital giving birth to the lovely Craig, the oldest
I
one.
knew it'd be me. Fuck
Yeah, and it was wonderful. And I was in hospital, and I'd never actually stayed in hospital before, so it's quite an experience for me. But anyway, Craig was born, and he was absolutely perfect and wonderful, and I was very happy. I've been given quite a lot of drugs during the birthing process, so they whisked him off to the nursery, which they used to do in those days, and I was in a hospital bed in this ward with some other ladies, and anyway, the next
With some
day
other
came,
men.
they brought Craig down, and he was just amazing, and I was really happy.
Well, that's a lovely story. Thank you.
No, wait a minute. Because it was quite a complex procedure because I was quite young and there were stitches everywhere. And so what I had to do was I had to stay in hospital for about 10 days with Craig. And after a couple of days, they said to me, right, I said, look, is there any way I can get up and have a bath? And they said to me, yeah, you can, but you've got to have a nurse with you. You know, someone has to be present, which I found quite odd. And I was like, okay, anyway, I said, they helped me get out of the bed, and I was a bit shaky on my feet and everything. And they walked me to the bathroom, and they ran the bath for me. And the nurse said, I need to stay here with you, really. And I said, honestly, you really don't. If I need you, there's an emergency button. I'm quite happy on my own having a bath. I'm absolutely fine. Got in the bath, that was really nice, blah, blah, blah. She went off to have a tea break, got in the bath, that was great. Stood up, got one leg out in the bath, and as I got one leg out in the bath, something went plink and fell out of me and hit the bottom of the bath. And
Craig's evil twin.
That was you, mate.
No, and I was really worried about this because I didn't know what it was. Okay, and I've never had a baby before, so I thought, oh, maybe this is something that happens. So I pulled the plug out so I could see what was in the bath, and it was just what I thought was a set of pan pipes. And I thought,
that Craig was blowing on in the womb.
Yeah, what else could it be? What else would it be?
Well, I thought that was really strange, okay, and I thought, bloody hell, I've just given birth to a musical instrument. It could be a piano next. I don't know what's happening. So I got the other leg out, and I thought, I'm not going to mention it to the nurse because I was so desperate to go home, right? I did not want to stay any longer, and I didn't want to tell the nurse about anything happening or going wrong. So I got out the bath. I threw the thing into a bin, this set of pan pipes into a bin. I was slightly concerned about it. The nurse came, and I'd got out the bath and got dressed and everything, and I got back into bed thinking, oh, what on earth was that? And it turns out that they'd actually, because they kept coming around and examining me and sort of muttering to themselves, I didn't know what was happening. But what had happened was they'd put this drain thing inside me, which they often do, apparently. It's a little drainer thing. And that's what the pan pipes were. They weren't pan pipes at all. But I didn't know what it was, you see. So I wasn't telling them. They kept asking me if everything was okay. And I said yes. And every day they were trying to find the pan pipes, but they couldn't find them. So in the end, they had to say to me, look, we've got something to tell you. We did have a drain inside. We actually can't find it. And I said, oh, I think that might have fallen out when I had a bath the other day. And if I told them that earlier, I could have got out much earlier. But anyway, we've realised that's what it was. As long as it was coming out.
So they were looking for that.
Wow.
So, well,
It was a funny old time, the old late 70s, wasn't it?
It was a funny old time.
The days when every baby was born with a musical
With a
instrument.
harmonica.
So when I moved over to America, before I come over here, I had to have a full, and I do mean full, medical examination. Easy now, Chief. And so I had to go up to London to a very nice posh doctor's up there. And you have to understand, I was very excited. I was very happy. I was very in love. I was going to move to America and marry my now wife. So went up to London for this. I was all excited and happy. I like skipped out of the taxi and into the doctor's office. And the whole thing, and it was a very posh doctors. So when I finally got to go in, I was like, right, here we go. Hey. And there was a very stern-looking, somewhat older lady. And so, they take your blood, fine. They check you've been vaccinated for all different stuff, fine. But one of the things they have to do, I presume they have to do, she goes to me, she goes, right, she will just hop on the bed and pull your trousers down, please. So
Did you actually hop?
No, the thing is, you have to understand, and I still am, but at the time as well, I was so loved up and happy. I did hop on the bed and pulled my trousers and pants straight down. I said, right, knock yourself out.
Started twerking.
Go for it. No. So you just dig in. I said, dig in there.
Knock yourself out.
Yeah, so this doctor, she starts messing around with me down below, and she's like checking stuff and feeling things.
Checking you got 3 balls.
Yeah, my 3 balls, my tribal situation. It's hard, but it's my life. And anyway, as she's fondling my balls, she just starts making casual conversation, and she goes, so how did you meet this woman who's going to be your wife? I'm like, oh, we met on whatever, it was a 1 in a million chance. I'm so happy. I said to her, do you know what? I said, she's the most fantastic woman I've ever met. I don't think I could ever be married to anyone else.
Oh.
My ball penis with her cold hands. She looked me in the eye and she goes,
What?
Yeah. She goes, yeah, I hope so. And I was like, yeah, no. I mean, I do really love her. And she goes, yeah, because, why would you get married if you don't love somebody? I was like, yeah, no, that's the whole point. We are getting married.
That's why she's cupping you.
Yeah.
Touch the nerve.
Down there. And I said, yeah, how are they? How are my balls? But anyway,
Pinky and Perky, how are they doing today?
In years to come, I've come to conclude that she might have been going through a divorce, or maybe I fantasized that at the time. And that's why she's so weird. But I've just never had somebody ask me those kind of questions, those deep probing questions, while they're touching.
Probing you. While
Yeah,
they're deeply
rude.
probing you. Yeah.
I would recommend.
Well,
I have a question about
Stephen.
that, actually.
Hang on. Stephen's got a question about this. Yeah.
When you say you're booty clapping,
Sorry, what? I'm an old man. What's
you
that?
said you said you were clapping cheeks.
No, I don't think he said that. No. I think you just dreamed that up.
Right.
No, I wasn't clapping. I don't know what clapping cheeks is, and if I did, I probably wouldn't do it. But no, I was at a doctor's. It was definitely a doctor's.
Oh dear. Right. Enough about clapping cheeks. Can we stop talking about that?
We were in a very small village, and there was a knock at the door one day, and there's a really old guy still on the doorstep, and he looked like he was in a bit of pain. And he said to me, "Are you Mrs.?" No, I won't do the accent. He said, "Are you Mrs. Jones?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "Can you take a look at my feet?" And I said, "No, I don't really want to. No, I'm not going to look at your feet. No, what's the matter?" And he said, "All I want you to do is take a look at them for me. I'll only be 10 minutes." And I said, "I really, no, I'm sorry. I don't want to look at your feet," because I couldn't, it was freaking me out. I didn't know what was happening. And it turned out that he had asked for the chiropodist at the post office, and her name was Jones as well. And he'd asked for Jones, and they'd sent him over to my address and my daughter. There's no way I'm going to look at your feet, mate. And eventually we got to the point where he realised there was a mistake, and there was a chiropodist in the village called Jones, and it wasn't me.
What point was that, Mark? How deep
Yeah.
did you go?
Well, it took a good.
It was as Mum had his toe in her mouth. And he pulled it out and said, actually,
he was almost starting to undo his shoes on the doorstep, and I was like, no, I'm not looking at your feet, because I just thought there was something horrendously wrong with his brain, but it turned out he thought I was
what's really funny about that is that he was thinking you was Mr. Jones, the chiropodist, and he thought that your office was on your doorstep. And like all your customers had to get their feet out on the doorstep.
Because he just started to get to the point of desperation, because I wouldn't let him in and look at his feet. He started to undo his shoe on the doorstep, and I was like, I'm not looking at your feet. It was just a random thing on a very busy day that I really could have done without.
So this happened, I think it was first thing on a Monday morning. I was cutting wedges for a door lining. I was holding the wood a bit funny. The saw's kicked back on 2 knots. Or it's kicked back on the first one. Normally if it does that, it's cool. Kicked back on the second one though. Ripped back, took my thumb off. So I thought, fuck. And this was just before lunchtime. So for some reason, I thought to run down to Steve and say that I've chopped my thumb off. He thought I was joking because he was that hungry. He was making a pot noodle. Completely ignored the fact that his little brother had just lost his thumb. Turned around. I was like, "No, Steve." Like, showed him it. He was all like worried. Said, "What do you want me to do?" So I've sent him up to. I sent him up to the saw to pick the nub of thumb back up. And so we're now in the car on the way to the hospital, and we get to A&E, there's people sort of in front of me, and Steve's like, look, can my brother go first because he's chopped his thumb off, like he's bleeding loads. They all look back and just go, I'm just handing in this paperwork quick. And Steve's like, look, you're all handing in paperwork. He's like actually got a problem, so can he go? And they're like, okay, yeah. So I think they just open up a new desk for me. I get taken into my own room where the doors open a bit. And so I looked at Steve, thought it'd be funny to start shaking on the bed. And about 30 doctors rushed in the room, having a go at me. And then the nurse stayed behind and sort of like chucked a bit of rubbish that was in the bin, on the side in the bin. But what she didn't know was my thumb was in that bit of tissue. She's chucked it in the bin. She's pulled out the tissue, saying, "Oh yeah, you're just joking again." And Steve was like, "No, his thumb was genuinely in that." So she finally finds the bit of thumb, and then I get put into another waiting room where I'm saying like, "Look, can I have some morphine or something?" And they go, yeah, okay, we'll bring something out for you. Bring me out a painkiller. Even someone else in the hospital at this point looked at me and said, well, like, he's not got a headache. And I was like, no, like, I don't need any painkillers, it's cool. And then someone else in there asked to have a look at it. So I showed her, the old lady next to me fainted.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And that's how I lost my thumb.
Okay, on one occasion, I was getting really worried about my voice because I thought there was something in my throat and my voice didn't sound right.
I was going to just ask how you sounded at the time.
To me, my voice sounded a bit croaky and I couldn't, it was lower than it normally was. That's what happened.
Like Lynch from Coronation Street.
A little bit like that. Anyway,
What, with a northern accent as well?
I decided to go to the doctors about it because I got quite hysterical about it just for a change. And I went to the doctor and I said to him, look, I said, there's something going on with my voice. I'm really worried there's something in my throat. Things aren't right. And he said, okay, when are you noticing it? What's happening? And I said, well, I can't hit the high notes anymore. And he looked at me and he said, oh, right, I didn't realise you sung. Where do you sing? And I said,
In the
Well, in
shower.
the shower.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said in the shower or in the kitchen. I'm always singing. He thought I was a singer, like a professional singer. And he asked me where I sang, and I said in the shower. And he said, "Okay, you're not actually a professional singer." I said, "No." That was the end of that story.
Well, not professionally, no. But, you know, who gets
Okay,
paid
but
these
I do
days?
sing. Yeah, I sing a lot.
Yeah.
You know, love
Oh.
music.
Okay, yeah, I've got an interesting one. I went to, I think it might have been a sex clinic. I'm not sure. Or yeah,
Oh.
I think it was. That's included in medical, isn't it? I believe. She asked me to sit on this hospital bed, and it had that kind of blue tissue on that you get on there. I don't know why they put blue tissue on hospital beds, by the way. You don't get that in any other situation. But anyway, so it had this long strip of blue tissue on it, and I sat on it. And she said, I'm just popping out for a moment. I'll be back in a minute. I've just got to get something. I think she was getting some gloves. I'm not sure. But anyway, I was sitting there all of
You
a
was
sudden.
hoping.
All of a sudden, she had to get some bigger gloves. All of a sudden, she had to get a battering ram. All of a sudden, I felt this horrible wet sensation down below. And I was sitting there with my shoulder bag on, and I looked with my bag in between my legs, and what had happened is my bottle of water had leaked all over this hospital bed, so all over the blue tissue that was on it. It was soaked full of water. So thought, shit, if she comes back in now, she's gonna think I've just sat here, plonked myself down, and pissed myself for no reason because I'm nervous or whatever. So what I did is I leapt up and I grabbed all of this blue tissue in a huge kind of ball. Ran over and put it in the bin in the corner, and I managed to literally jump back on the bed as the door opened and she walked back in. It had been obvious that in fact, I think she actually caught me jumping back on the bed. And she said, well, she looked around and she had obviously noticed it was gone. And she went straight over to bin and looked in it, and it was full of this drenched paper tissue. And she didn't say anything about it. But yeah, what are their chances?
Oh.
You don't have to lie. We know you wet yourself.
I do remember lots of stories about the day you had Jimmy. One of them was that you were in quite a lot of pain. You'd been suffering for a long time. This lovely nurse came in and was talking to Donna and stroking her hand and stuff. And the lady had a foreign accent, and Donna was in a lot of pain and was mishearing a lot of what she was saying at the time. And the nurse asked her if she needed to spend a penny, meaning did she feel any pressure on her bladder? Did she need to do a wee? And Donna said, no, thank you. I spent loads of money on my baby, actually.
That is well embarrassing,
Never
mate.
heard that one before.
Take the shame. Take the shame.
I do have a story. And this is similar
If this
to
involves you shitting yourself, you're off.
No,
No.
it doesn't. It doesn't. So we were going. It was when we were expecting Roman, and we went for a scan. We had paid for one of the 3D ones, so we could go check him out and whatever, and see him a bit earlier on. And we walked in there, and this woman, she was nice, and she was like, one of the first things she said to us, we walked in there, and she said, "Oh wow, you're really small, aren't you?" And I was like,
Wow.
Yeah, I guess. All right. So that happened, and then so Beth was laid out on the thing, and we were looking at him, we got him up on the screen, and then she was like, "Oh, he's as big as his daddy already." And
what?
yeah. And then so I was like, yeah, like we was looking at each other, and like it was just a bit weird. And then Beth stood up, and it was all done. And because Beth was a little bit taller than me that day, she said, "Oh wow, it's not very often you see a couple where the man's smaller than the woman."
God, how rude, man.
Yeah, she kept rinsing me for small jokes. I don't know why.
Gosh, that's bad.
I'm not that small. I'm not that small.
Oh, you could have sued her.
That's
It was
horrible.
private. That was a private place as well. We had paid a lot of money to go there.
There you go. They got no bloody manners, those private people.
I was really in loads of pain with my foot. Okay, I had this thing on my foot, and the doctor couldn't make his mind out what it was. They sent me to hospital, and I went there with my husband at the time, and the nurse had a look at it and everything. Well, the doctor, whoever, specialist, had a look at everything, and she just said, "Go and sit down, and I'll just write something out." And called me back in. I went and sat down. And I was really, really worried about it. I thought it was something really serious, and I got in a real state about it. And she turned to me and said, she had a really strong foreign accent, and she turned to me and said, "Mrs. Jones, you have a Quran." And I said, "Oh gosh, right, okay." And I looked at my husband and I said, "I've got a Quran," and I didn't know what that was. And it was actually, when I read what she'd written, it was a corn.
Ah.
Years ago, I was a builder, a carpenter, or whatever, and we used to use nail guns, and the nail gun bounced, and I got nails in all my fingers. And because I was working, I need to earn money. I just pulled the nails out and carried on working for the day. When I got home, I was like, "Dude, you've had nails in your fingers. You should probably go to a doctor's. This is stupid. Like, I mean, who knows what damage has been done?" So I kind of begrudgingly went to the doctors, and I sat down there and I said, "Right, listen, man, I've shot nails into my fingers today." "Yeah, no, really, I did. I know, it's crazy." He goes, "Right, let's have a look then." And we took the bandages off, and he goes, "Right, so where are the nails?" So I said, No, I pulled them out." And he goes, "Oh, you've pulled the nails out then?" I said, Yeah, I've pulled them out. I had to go to work, didn't I?" And he goes, "Well, what are you here for then?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I've got nails in my fingers. What do you do when that happens?" And he goes, "Well, you're fine. You've pulled the nails out, put a plaster on it." Felt like a twat.
Oh, what?
Well, you would have thought they would have been worried about giving
right.
you a tetanus jab or something.
It just goes to show, if you get nails in your fingers, you don't
You
have
just
to
got to get on with it.
I can remember Stephen and Billy, when they were little, having a bath with a bath bomb that had glitter in it, like a snow globe thing, and they bust it in the bath, obviously, because it was hilarious. Cracked it open, there's glitter everywhere. And as we all know, you can't get rid of glitter. And I got them out of the bath, and I cleaned as much as I could out of it. But I had a bath the next morning because I had to go and for my smear test.
No.
I got to the doctor's.
Mum had a bejazzle downstairs.
I laid on the bed, and this lady was obviously in between my legs with an instrument, and she put her head down, and I said, "Oh,
What was it?
before you
Cello?
do anything," I said, "Oh, very good." I said, "Before you do anything," I said, "if you see any glitter down there, it's nothing freaky or weird, right?" And I was smiling, and her head came up, and she looked at me, and she said, "What do you mean?"
Did she have glitter on her nose? Oh.
Mum's bean was like a disco ball.
Oh, that's disgusting. Oh.
I said, "It's nothing weird or freaky." I said, "But my children were in the bath, and they busted this snow globe thing, and there's glitter everywhere. And I had a bath in the same bath this morning, and I can't, you know what glitter's like." And she just literally stared at me with a really stony face, and then put her head back down and got on with it. She didn't even.
Wow.
It was the
You know
weirdest
what I think happened there?
Mum
I
had
think
busted her snow globe.
No, you've met someone who actually has never encountered glitter before. She had no idea.
Yeah.
Oh, she just didn't even smile. I was
or a sense of humor. Thanks a lot for joining us for episode 6. Some interesting stories. We've learned a lot about each other and glitter, and yeah, it's been an interesting one. Does everyone want to say their byes?
Yes, and if anyone's got any stories I'd like to push forwards, and any suggestions for us for next week to talk about, then feel free to drop us a line.
Yes, we won't be reading your stories out, but we would happily take your suggestions.
Yeah. I hope you like goodbyes, because I'm saying goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Debbie and her children talking shite.